Hi, welcome to All Things Possible. I'm Kris, and
I'm Bill.
we are excited to talk to you today about Are You Ready? It's been a really crazy week or two, and even a couple of months for more of the world than just right here in our United States and in Utah. We have just got so much going on.
We have, and you probably heard the old kind of backhanded Chinese curse that says, "May he live," or "May you live in interesting times." And although I don't know that we're cursed, I certainly do think we live in some very interesting times right now.
We have some very interesting things happening. If you haven't joined our community, before we get all into this whole discussion, if you haven't joined the community, All Things Possible, join us now at allthingspossible.biz. And we'd love to have you join our All Things Possible community as well as...
You can see it, like right here.
Yeah, right here on the screen. As well as, we have a lot of free gifts for you there, as well as a lot of content and information, our blog, and there's just a lot there for you, and we'd love to have you be part of our community. With all that said, let's get into this. Are you ready? There's been a lot happening in our world and things that we've never faced before with social distancing and this virus that's happening. Are you ready for this?
And I think you've already, by now, answered that question. Did you have enough toilet paper?
Did you think that water and toilet paper would be the number one things people were going for initially, right?
Yeah, and medicine. Yeah, you've already answered those questions. But it caused us to think about all the other things. And it was an interesting experience for us. We a couple of different times we stopped by the stores to make sure that we had enough ibuprofen, different things to get through a month of sitting at home or whatever, being sequestered to the house, and some different things. What was interesting though is we went through our food storages and our supplies and stuff like that. It was comforting to get down there and realize, hey, we are. It gave us a lot of peace of mind.
Right, we're in a better position than we thought we were.
Yeah.
And part of that's because, we used to have a big family and at home, and now we're empty nesters, and it was kind of like, oh, let's just use stuff up before it goes bad, right? But we've got to this point of like, if we were to get the symptoms of the virus, do we have the medication? Do we have cold medicine? Do we have those things available?
Vitamins.
And yeah, how do we keep our system strong right now? And how can we be prepared? Going into this, we'll be putting in a garden. Do we have the necessities to do the things that we want to do in our world right now? And it made us really think.
But what we've seen as we went through and re-inventoried everything, we went from a state of panic, of uncertainty, to knowing exactly where we stood, and it gave us quite a bit of peace of mind. And so we started thinking about some other areas. But in the middle of all this pandemic here in Utah, a few days ago, we were rudely woken up.
Shaken out of bed?
I don't know if woken is the right word, but we woke. That's for sure.
We were
with an earthquake.
5.7 on the Richter scale.
Yeah. So yeah, for us in Utah, that was a big deal. If you're in California, you might snooze right through that and just not even think anything of it. But it scared us.
Well, and as we talked about it, that initial, the sound came first, and it almost sounded like there was a plane or something coming towards the house. Like it was just really concerning.
It was a deep rumbling.
It was a different thing than we have experienced. And since then, we've had hundreds of the
little aftershocks
and stuff. But to have both of these on top of each other, it was just this awakening of, are we ready for some difficult times?
And I'm sure as far as the virus, and if you've experienced an earthquake, you felt that. It's like, okay, what do I have? What do I need to be ready? Am I ready enough right now? But we would like to pose some different questions in different areas where are we ready that you might not normally think about. Yes, I mean, hey, what if the zombie apocalypse does come? Do we have some zombie? Do we have any zombie be gone spray, stocked up? What? Okay, of course I'm being silly with that. But there are so many things, a financial collapse, governments collapse. There can be so much unrest and so many things. And I don't think this is the last pandemic we are going to see
in
this world.
This is kind of that awakening for us.
Get ready, an awakening. But you guys have already thought that. You know that. You know if you're going to stock up and prepare for the next one as things become available.
Well, and you've done that, and if you haven't been able to, it's too late. Like there's empty shelves, right? So what about your personal relationships?
Yeah.
How are they? Go ahead.
What is it with people that are around you? How are your relationships with them? If that person, we live in these times today, but anytime throughout history, accident, illness, something can happen, and with very little notice or no notice at all, at once you can lose a loved one. How are your relationships with them? Have you forgiven? Have you extended forgiveness? Do you need to reach out to them and strengthen that relationship? Is it someone that you've just not called and checked up on for a while, where if all at once they were gone, you would have that feeling of guilt of I would have, could have, should have done more. So
well, and in the recent COVID-19, if you haven't reached out to them, what if they were to get it? And what if they weren't to make it? Like, this is serious times. Can you go to forgiveness? Can you create a healed relationship and have that connection, whether that's phone calls, texting, even emails? And I mean, the mail service is still working, right? We can still send stuff.
yeah, if you're antiquated and actually send stuff through like physical mail where they get a piece of paper, it's weird, but it used to happen. It still could.
Some
if
people
you
can
wanted
still read it. But
Yes.
what could you do to make those personal relationships stronger? Now, it doesn't have to be someone that's distant. Like in your home, are your relationships strong? And are they cohesive? Are you getting along? Is this under one roof driving you nuts? I heard lots of young moms that were just like, oh my gosh, my kids are driving me crazy. That's what was all over everything with school being at home and all these things going on. How could you build stronger relationships? How could your personal relationships actually benefit you during this time?
Absolutely. It goes much deeper. I mean, no, we talked about regret if all once that person were gone. But it goes much deeper than that. Those are the people that will support you, that help hold you up through hard times, and that you help hold them up. That's our source of strength and resilience to get through these hard things, is those strong relationships. So again, we encourage you, look at your relationships, strengthen them, heal them, do what it takes to make sure that you're good with those people that you love, that love you.
And the second question, what about your spirituality?
Oh no, are we going to talk about religion?
No, spirituality, right? Like whatever that is for you. Is that God? Is that universe? Is that your higher power? What is that for you, and how could you have that be stronger right now to support you and buoy you up?
Because it's that faith, that belief, whether it's prayer, meditation, whatever that is that gives you that strength, again, to get through hard times.
And calming.
And that can be one of the greatest sources of strength and resilience, is having a good spiritual, healthy spiritual connection to something greater than yourself.
And one of the biggest ways to build that, there's reading, there's a whole lot of things you could do, and there's prayer, but there's also doing service. There's a ton of ways that we can actually serve right now, even if it is just making phone calls, checking on people, talking to people, seeing what we can do.
And there are some good books that you can read also.
There's a lot of good books. There's a lot of good music. There's a lot of good things out there that can support you during very troubled times, very scary times. If you're finding yourself with lots of anxiety and lots of stress, lots of worry, you need to build that spiritual calm and that relationship, and with yourself as much as anything else, right?
Yes. Which leads us right into the next part. So we've got several grandkids.
5.
That's almost. It has to be 6
several.
to say several. So we
have
almost have several grandchildren.
We have one hand of grandchildren.
we could do a basketball. Is it 5
We
people on a basketball
love our grandkids. There are 5 people on a team. Yes.
team? Okay, great. See,
There's
now I
usually
just
a few
learned
more, so
something.
they have substitutions. But that's going way too far for
And
this
unless they're
info.
unless they're on home quarantine, then there might be 4 or 3.
They're
But
playing horse. They
we
could be one-on-one.
we kind of got off subject.
So
here.
what about me? We have a 3-year-old grandson that his thing is, what about me? No matter what you say. In fact, our other son, so uncle, was there at their house, and he just had to go say hi to him because he just had been missing them and stuff. And so he was on the porch keeping his distance, right? And just was saying hi to the kids. And as he was going to leave, he'd already told this 3-year-old that he loved him and was saying his goodbyes. And he pointed to the 5-year-old sister and said, Uncle Jesse loves you.
Uncle Jesse loves you.
And immediately, this little 3-year-old boy, what about me?
And he just had this sad, pouty face. What about me? It's like, I know you love me too. I mean, he didn't even have time to turn and point to him and saying, I love you too. But it was just so cute and darling as they told us the story. It kind of melted our heart.
Right.
But we want to pose that question. Do we worry about ourselves? Do we take care of ourselves? Okay,
so what about you?
Yes.
What about you? Are you feeling distraught? Are you feeling scared?
Are you feeling cared for? Are you caring for yourself?
Right. Because the stronger belief you have in yourself, the stronger relationship you have with yourself, the more at peace you can be, the more prepared you can be, the better strength you can be for those around you.
So we just have a few things just to areas to think of. Really take time to take care of yourself. So many times we get in crisis and we're always worried about everyone else, and we don't stop to replenish our own reserves, to charge our own batteries. So here's just a few things that you can do.
Yeah,
What
during
are they,
this
Kris?
time, there's good self-care. Find good self-care that really motivates you and makes a difference for you. Talk positively, both to yourself and to those around you. Be gentle with yourself.
Absolutely. You notice the words that you use. Is it all awful, terrible, virus, sickness? Okay. You imprint the people around you. The words that you say create a lot of the energy around you. So yeah, be careful with that. Make sure and get plenty of rest. Hey, some of you don't have the same schedules. It's a great time. Get plenty of rest. Eat healthy. Exercise.
Go out in the fresh air. Like, the fresh air is not going to hurt you. Go get fresh air. Have good thoughts. Have some declarations. What you're saying and what you're putting out there is what's happening, and have purpose and strength around that.
Great. Just a couple of suggestions here for declarations right now. I am healthy and strong. I have an abundance of financial resources to meet my obligations. Okay, things like that are very, very timely for these times that we live in right now, what's going on with the virus.
Right. Go to gratitude. Go to service. Trust yourself and have unconditional love for yourself and for others.
And then think about, what is your purpose? And don't put that aside when you get overwhelmed and in crisis with a bunch of other things. Find a way to be the purpose, to be an answer to somebody else's needs, to be part of the solution. Use your gifts, your talents to be part of the solution. And as you do that, you will find that all this stress and gloom and doom is much less if you'll focus on these things.
Go to spiritual connection, kindness, forgiveness, faith, and determination. Be determined that you can do this.
Perfect.
You can sleep while the wind blows, right?
So you've all heard that, and if you haven't, I'm just going to quickly go through this old parable. And yes, there's different versions of it. But the parable is this. Long ago, a farmer on the East Coast came to the point where he needed some help with his farm. And so he put out an ad to hire a laborer to come and live on his farm and help him. And because of the storms and that would come in and just blow things and destroy crops, he was having a hard time finding people that wanted to work on a farm and deal with those difficulties. Finally, a smaller frame man, short and well past middle age, like somebody else I know.
Don't go there.
But I'm not short nor skinny. But this man came to him and he says, Are you good around a farm? Can you handle the work? And the man says, I can sleep when the wind blows. And the farmer was a little perplexed with his answer, but the guy was willing to go to work, so he thought, you know what, I need help, I'm going to hire him. Well, he hired him, and this guy was an excellent worker. He worked from from dark to dark, he did his chores conscientiously. He fulfilled the task, and things were quite well. They were going well. One night, in the middle of the night, the farmer woke up to hearing the wind blow outside. And so, having lived his whole life under these conditions, he immediately jumped up, ran outside to the quarters where his hired hand was living, and to wake him up, says, wake up, we gotta go, and we gotta secure everything and make sure the animals are in and okay, and that the things are held down so it doesn't blow off. And he says, no, sir, we don't need to. He said, no, sir, I can sleep when the wind blows. He turned over and rolled over and went back to sleep. Well, the farmer was a little angry and thought of just firing him on the spot, but instead ran outside to take care of things. He ran out to start herding the animals in the barn. Found out the animals were in the barn. Extra hay had been put in the barn and stored away for the animals. That all of the loose things around the farm had either been secured, put away, or tied down. And then he came to understand what his hired hand had meant when he said, I can sleep when the wind blows. So the farmer, realizing there was nothing to do, went inside and also decided to sleep when the wind blows because they were prepared.
So can you sleep while this wind is blowing? Like, we've given you some simple things that you can do, things you can take a look at, that you could look at differently, that would give you strength during troubling times, that would give you hope, that would also give you somewhere to begin. Like, you've got a lot of time on your hands right now, at least a lot of people do. And how are you spending that time? What could you do differently? Last week we talked about how we could be something, right? And that we could just be. And we want to encourage you to be all that you can be. Do you want to tell them some of those that we gave them? Some good ideas that we gave you last week?
Yes, we do. So, be brave. Be resourceful. Be strong for your family. Wow, it's amazing how the cues that your kid and even your children and even those others, your spouses, what cues and how your attitude will affect their attitude. So be strong for them. Be diligent in your beliefs, in your core beliefs. Go ahead. Some more.
Yeah, be diligent in your beliefs. Is, with all the churches canceling and all the big gatherings being canceled, be diligent in your beliefs and in that spirituality. That will make a big difference for you. Be kind to your neighbors and loving in all that you do. When there's people out there, you don't know their circumstances. You don't know why, they're fighting for toilet paper. Probably because they're out, right? But we don't know why people are stressed out and what is really happening for them. When the earthquakes were here, different people were affected differently. Our home survived very well, but the people that were right closer to the actual epicenter, they're not, some of those are displaced, right? So be kind to the neighbors and be loving in all that you do.
Okay. And be willing to be different than what people have seen. Be willing to show up in a new way for people. Be aware, be respectful of others. Again, what Kris was saying. And once again, back to forgive those around you who may be behaving in a way that may be very unseemly to you, trying to grab things out of a grocery cart or somebody else's cart, or that seem desperate. Just be a little more patient. We're living in a little bit of a crisis here, but I think it's a good time to take a look and see how we can be better people.
Yeah, encourage you to be all that you can be. Thanks for being here with us. We hope and pray that you are safe and that you are being cared for and that things are okay for you during this tough challenge. We're glad that you're here with us at All Things Possible, and all things are possible for you. So if you haven't joined the community, join us now, allthingspossible.biz, and we'll see you next time right here on All Things Possible.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.